My name is Mackenzie Christensen, and I'll be talking about Erik Erikson. I was doing my research online and found my information on Wikipedia, and I'll start by just explaining a few facts about Erikson. He was a German American developmental psychologist who is known for studying human beings and their development. With his studies and his information, he was a professor at Harvard, UC Berkeley in California, and at Yale. And he went through a lot in his life, in both Europe and America, but he's best known for his identity crisis. And with that being said, his identity crisis goes back to the fact that he didn't really know who his birth father was his whole life. His mom got pregnant out of wedlock and gave birth out of wedlock to Erikson. And because of that, his mother had to flee several times to avoid judgment and all that. That conceiving in wedlock brings. So he didn't really know his birth dad because the mother had to flee. Later, his mom got married, and his mom told Erikson that his stepdad was really his dad. And it wasn't years later that he actually found out that wasn't the case. And so that's when he started to have an identity crisis. He didn't really know who he was. He felt like he was lied to. He didn't know everything about his life, and that frustrated him. And so he really started to become focused on identity and what that meant and what that meant to us. And identity is known as the qualities, the beliefs, the personalities, the looks, and the expressions that make us who we are. So with his past experiences, not knowing who his father is, being lied to about his stepfather being his father, and all that information, he experienced an identity crisis, and he wanted to find out who he was. So he started to think about identity and personal identity within us and what makes us who we are. When Erik Erikson was 25 years old, he went to tutor art in Vienna, and he started studying more about psychology and all that while he was tutoring art. And while he was studying psychology, he specialized in child analysis with a focus on their development and their sexual stages. And he really came to know this, and in 1993 he received his diploma and certifications in this area of study. A few years later, he moved back to the United States, and he became the first child psychologist in the city of Boston. And he was in doctor's offices, and he was doing all of that stuff in Boston and in the United States. He worked with children in psychology because it was just really interesting to him, and he focused on the identity of them. Another fun fact is that he's known for his book called Childhood and Society, and that is because Erikson believed that development came from both social and cultural influences. Lots of people say that it's kind of like the argument of nurture versus nature. We are the way we are because we were nurtured that way, and some people say we are because of the environment we live in. And Erikson believes that nature has a big amount to do with our identity and how we view ourselves. He knows that because he would travel a lot. He was in the East Coast and the West Coast and Boston, LA, all these other places, and because of his interest in children and children's psychology, he started to observe the children in the different places, and he learned that they were different in every place that you went to a certain extent. They developed the same and everything, but their personalities and the things they did were different. So this was his main argument, was that identity and all these things are influenced by the world around us and the things we do. And he has two theories that he is known for, and one of them is the theory of development and the ego, and his theory of personality. And the theory of development and ego pretty much just explains that you shouldn't put too much focus on the parent-child relationship, but you should also put importance on the role of the ego itself, including the progression through their life. Erikson believes that the environment is just as crucial for providing growth, adjustment, a source of awareness, and identity than other means. And his theory of personality talks about the life stage virtues, which are hope, will, purpose, competence, fidelity, love, care, and wisdom. So he just describes his theories in a lot of different ways, but more than anything, he really focused on identity and what identity is to us and how identity works in our lives. And because of his identity crisis, he was able to study that more and understand why children are the way that they are. And I just think it's really interesting that he went through such things that helped him want to study those things. I think it's really cool that more things are influenced on our identity than just the way we were born. And I think that Erik Erikson is important for that. I mean, he is one of the guys that helps us understand human development, and he should be recognized as such.